Okay, so we're here with Gary Rake from the Australian Building Codes Board. Gary, could you just tell us a little bit about what the code does?
Yeah, so the National Construction Code is a way of trying to standardise building regulation across the country. The Commonwealth doesn't directly control building regulation. It's not something covered by the Constitution. It's managed by states and territories. But to promote equitable outcomes for building owners and occupiers and users across the country, and to promote efficiency for industry, we prepare a piece of model legislation that each state and territory adopts into its own legislature book, so that we'll find that the rules in Queensland are very, very similar to the rules in Tasmania or Western Australia.
And there's a new iteration of the code on the way, so where are we up to with that process at the moment?
Yeah, we worked to a 3-year cycle of amendment for the code. The last amendment was in 2019, was the last full amendment. We've got a new edition coming out for 2022. The code is scheduled to take effect from the 1st of September 2022. Most of the decisions around the new provisions have been made. The last couple that we're working on relate to energy efficiency, condensation and a few other small elements.
And we're here to talk about energy efficient housing. There's a mood for change underway that we need to do more in that space as we move towards being a net zero society and an economy. What do you think that the latest iteration of the code can offer to help increase the energy efficiency of Australian homes?
So one of the great things about the code is that it is updated every couple of years. Every 3 years at the moment is our cycle. In 2019, we made improvements to commercial building energy efficiency. 2022, the focus is residential. I'll come back to the detail in a moment. But we're also thinking ahead to 2025 and 2028 for subsequent updates to improve commercial and residential further still. So for residential, the key proposition that we're working on is to move new homes to a 7-star standard. And we've been talking about that now for a couple of years as we've worked these provisions up. This will be the first time that there's been a major move in the energy efficiency standard for homes in the last decade.
What does a 7-star home look like? Can you sort of explain that, I guess, to people who might not be experts in the rating system?
Yeah, sure. So what we're really thinking about is two key elements. The first one is the building fabric and the shell. So think about buildings that are better oriented, that better take advantage of insulation, double glazing, changes that are suitable for the peculiarities of their climate. So in the northern states where the westerly sun is brutal in summer, we might start to see some shading in those windows being preferenced on that western side. In areas where the summer sun is particularly brutal, we might see a move to lighter coloured roofs, so lighter greys and more reflective roofs rather than black and absorptive. And then in the southern states where we really want to take advantage of whatever winter sun we can get, we're thinking about orientation, solar aspect, and the size of the windows and collection of that thermal property.
And the benefits to the nation of that are fairly clear in terms of emissions reduction, helping us on that journey to net zero, and all governments have now given a commitment that that's where we're headed. What are the benefits for consumers? If you live in one of these houses, how does it actually improve your life living in one of them?
Yeah, so you talked about carbon, and we know that our buildings represent about 18 or 19% of Australia's greenhouse gas emissions, and houses are 11%. So it means that every new householder will be doing their bit to help decarbonise our economy. But directly, those householders will be in more comfortable homes. Their amenity will go up. It will be warmer in winter, cooler in summer, and they'll draw less energy, which is a financial benefit for them. So in this world where there's a lot of discussion around cost of living pressures, this is a really tangible thing. People in new homes can expect to have lower energy bills than they otherwise would have had.
And yet I wonder sometimes if consumers really understand that yet. I mean, one of the things we hear most often as a criticism of these kind of measures is that there is no demand, that consumers aren't asking for it when they build a new house, when they consult an architect. This idea that, why give them something that they're not demanding? How do you sort of respond to that? Is it a case of consumers sort of don't know what they don't know at the moment?
Yeah, look, it is really complex, and it would be hard for consumers to understand the benefits that are available to them. I love the old Henry Ford saying, if I'd asked my customers what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses. They didn't know that cars were possible. And it's a little bit the same here. I don't think consumers yet fully appreciate the benefits that they could have, both in terms of comfort, finance, and their social contribution. So we're really correcting a market failure here. We're looking at those things that we can build into a minimum standard that becomes mandatory, that are going to be cost effective and generate net benefits for the occupiers of these homes. And I say occupiers because these benefits flow through to the people who use the buildings, not just the owners. It flows through to tenants as well.
We can only really make this jump. 7-star ratings only mean something if we have the accreditation system to accredit all of the houses, if everybody understands how the system works, if we have clear tools for builders and other people in the industry to use. So do you feel that we're well positioned to make the jump to 7 stars if the code goes that way?
Yeah, we're very well positioned. We have already in Australia a standard tool called Natters, which helps measure the performance of homes and put a star rating on them. And that is currently the most popular way to demonstrate that a home meets our current 6-star requirements. The Natters tool has been updated to allow for 7-star. The rules that we have coming in for 1st of September, subject to approval by ministers, of course, but the proposal we've put together is to improve the thermal shell, the building itself, to 7 stars, and also to put a whole of home energy budget so that we can measure and create incentives to use lower energy appliances and to have on-site generation of renewables. So think rooftop solar. The Natters tool will help measure all of that. So it will look at the energy use of the base building, the energy use of the appliances, heating and cooling appliances, hot water, pool and spa pumps, lighting, and it will also think about the benefit and measure the benefit of any on-site generation.
And as you said, just to wrap up, that decision's sort of expected later in the year, perhaps September or later. But it sounds like you're quite confident that you've been able to demonstrate that there's real benefits from making this shift, and that's quite a compelling case when governments come to look at it.
Yeah, we work in a very rigorous and stringent framework about how we prove the benefit of new rules and new requirements. So one of the things that our team has to do is measure the cost that industry will incur, the cost that consumers will incur, and the benefits that they will receive. And we measure that at the household level and the economy-wide level. And the most recent advice that I've been able to share with ministers is there are definitely cost-effective improvements that can be made, and these will be net beneficial for households.
That's really encouraging, and we look forward to seeing what happens next. So thanks a lot for your time.
That's great. Thank you.